Hi guys, it's your girl Steffi, and today we're going to talk about a project that I worked on with Gucci. Am I finally part of the Gucci gang? I still can't believe it when this email went into my inbox and I was like, oh my god, Gucci? Yes, let me take on this project. And I'm going to show you guys the breakdown of this animation right here. So the actual campaign is called Don't Run, and it was all about visualizing your own flow. Now, flow in this sense means, when you're feeling like you're in the mood of creation as a creative, that moment, that sweet spot where it's so easy and you feel like you're creating, you're in the right mood, you're right in the right moment for experimenting. And to me, that flow just felt like this never-ending loop of just like, the best way to explain it, like, it's where I am performing my best creatively. And it's just like this constant loop that I'm in, just creating and having a good time and actually enjoying what I'm creating. So I tried to bring that across in this animation with their Don't Run shoe. So these were the sneakers that I were designing for, and they had this kind of like fiery, fire hot, warm red color palette. And they just felt really alive and really exciting. And so of course the first thing that I usually do is come up with a mood board of what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and the feeling of my flow states, which I just explored, felt a little bit like this. I wanted to go with this direction of like having these kind of like cloth simulations, these fabrics ebbing and flowing. That's the feeling that I wanted to portray, almost like the feeling that you're being wrapped in a warm blanket. That feeling. In terms of the hero shots, these were the type of visuals that I was referencing, something where the shoe is still, shining is the main focus, but then in the background have these kind of these lines of fabric just like flowing behind it and encapsulating it. I also had this idea that aside from these fabrics, I would also have other objects revolving and orbiting the shoe. I wasn't quite sure at that point what it could be, but I just knew it was something to do with fabric in the background and then just like little bits of fragments of pieces just floating by. Lastly, the color scheme, I really wanted it to be red just because after looking at the sneakers themselves, they were hot, they were fiery, and I really wanted to embed some of that. And also, being Chinese, red is also a very lucky color in that sense. So I just felt like it really tied in well with my style and also with the Gucci sneakers. And so once that was all verified and checked by the team, then I got to sketching and I was sketching my ideas. And actually I sketch on my iPad a lot just because it's one of the quickest ways to get my ideas across to the client, but also just to show what I'm thinking inside my head as well. I also mocked up a storyboard as well so that they can see what is going to happen within this 15-second animation. And in the end, the sketch looked something like this. Once that got all approved, then it was finally time to start building in 3D. Now they actually provided the shoe to me and I just worked around their shoe and also retextured it as well. But the first thing I experimented was with the fabric. Of course, I wanted to make it flow around and float around, and so there was this new feature with the cloth engine in Cinema 4D that I haven't tried yet, but I finally tried for this project. And the thing about simulations, they are very hard to predict and control, so a lot of patience do go into them to try and art direct them. I ended up with something like this. I feel like this was the right sort of speed and flow, just the way that it kind of floats in the air and unwraps itself and undulates. I feel like that was the perfect pace. But then once that was done, I had to sort out the camera angle so that it looked like it was like wrapping it in front. So I tried this and this wasn't what I was going for, so I had to try another angle to make it work. And this was more like the angle that I wanted. I wanted it to be I wanted the shoe to be slightly off the side, and so you can see the front a little bit, see the side as well, and then also the cloth kind of wrapping itself around it. I had to be extra careful though to make sure that the cloth did not intersect with the shoe and make sure that they were quite separate and made sure that the shoe is the main hero that everyone looks at. Then I decided that I wanted to add these kind of follicles swirling around the shoe, and actually it looked really nice as a still, but the more and more I worked into this kind of follicles just kind of floating in the air, the more that I didn't like the look of it. And I think I think the issue wasn't actually the look, but more so the animation at the time. So this is me grooming it right here, and I was just grooming it into place. Played a bit with this wind simulation, the speed, with the turbulence as well. And actually it looks pretty sweet, but for some reason at the end I found it quite distracting and also obstructing the shoe a little bit, and I thought, you know what, the star of this animation is really the shoe. I don't think I should really obstruct it in any way, and so I decided to take it out in the end. Then I moved on to adding objects in the scene, the fragments of pieces that were orbiting the shoe. I decided they would actually be orbs and also rocks, and also I think that was it. Let me see. I think that was it. Orbs and rocks and a ribbon, like these fabrics just like going around, but I had to position them first and make sure that the composition looked good. You guys can also see that I've got these like square rectangles here for the camera, because the idea was that I was going to render one scene out so that you can repurpose it for different points in social media. So just to show you guys a bit of the animation test, the first one with the cloth here and with the objects being static, and then next we moved with the follicles, which I didn't use in the end, but it looks so good here. It really does, it looks so soft, and this was the feeling I wanted to emit, this kind of soft, flowing movement. And then here we are rotating the shoe, and of course that changed the movement of the follicles as well. Almost like it's underwater in a sense. And then I animated the objects to orbit around it, to flow around it here. And finally adding that all together as a test. And I think in this version there is the ribbon here, you can see in the bottom left corner. And so I took it step by step, all the elements I added slowly to make this final piece. Once the animation and the positions were set, then it was time to move on to texturing. And if you guys know me, you would know texturing is my favorite part of 3D. And so I jumped into Substance Painter, and I used Substance Painter Live Link to jump in between Substance Painter and Cinema 4D, and it's just a breeze to work with because I can check back and forth from Cinema 4D to Substance Painter how the look will look like, and it will update instantly as well. My style is very graphic design based. As my background is in graphic design, I like to use geometric shapes, bold colors, and for this piece I really wanted to let the fabric shine by itself. I didn't want too much on it, but just enough so that you could see a bit of my signature style. And the best thing about Substance Painter is that you can paint onto it directly. You can actually, you know, utilize, I don't know, a tablet for example. You could draw things on there, take it away, you can draw it on it straight away onto the 3D assets. It's probably one of the reasons why I love Substance Painter so much. But you can see here I'm playing about with the placement, with the clouds that I drew on my iPad. I imported them into Illustrator, and now I'm using them as a mask in Substance Painter. And then we finally get to painting the areas, and this part is very manual. I'm actually painting it by hand. It took some time, but when I'm doing stuff like this, I usually put on some music, a podcast, or I put a movie in the background so that I can listen to something whilst I'm doing my work. So the end texture for the shoe looks like this. I had to retexture some parts to make it look like the shoe in real life. The actual scene turned out more like this, and you can see the first two scenes here where the lighting is like a general HDRI, it's like just very plain white lighting. And you can see in the last one, that's where I start playing with a few area lights, adding a bit of red area lights probably from the side or in the back, and you can see those highlighting the cloth really beautifully there. The only issue here, and you can see this now with the follicles, they are definitely, I would say, in the way of the shoe, and I really wanted to make the shoe shine. So, you know, after seeing it and playing with the colors and the lighting, I decided to take the follicles away at this point. Then aside from the main hero image and the main hero animation, which you guys just saw, I also had to visualize the other shots that were going to be in this piece, and these are the shots that I worked with as a draft, just to show the clients what is going to be shown in each shot. You can almost see like a traveling, like a slow reveal of the shoe, like little peaks of the shoe here, and that's what I really wanted to do. You know, within 15 seconds you like little peaks of the orbs, of the rocks, a little bit of the shoe, of the ribbon, until finally you get to see the full piece near the end. After these shots were approved, then we moved on to working on the logos. So the first one was Don't Run, and the second one was the Gucci logo itself. So with this one, we went through a few iterations with the Don't Run logo. It started off like this, almost like a bubble type writing. I also had to find a way to animate the Don't Run logo to transition from Don't Run to the Gucci logo, and I did that by using a ribbon transition just swiping across the screen here. This was one of my first drafts with the logo, and in hindsight, now that I look at it, although it's got the fabric texture, it kind of relates back to the cloth texture at the back, it kind of doesn't feel cohesive. Maybe it's the color palette here, but I decided to switch it up in the next one here, where it's got more reference to the shoes design, the fiery hot design there, and I think that works a lot better for this logo. I tried animating these logos in different ways, and it took us a few times to get it right before we finally decided on this and this. And it's interesting because we went back to the cloth idea, but more so like a soft cloth waving in the wind, almost like a flag when the wind blows and it softly, you know, undulates under that wind. And when the animation was approved, then I moved on to texturing again in Substance Painter for the logos. And you can see here a lot of it is very manual. I'm just painting my way through, and actually it's probably why I took so long with it, because I had to manually paint everything. I find painting really therapeutic. It takes a long time, but it's very therapeutic to do. Let me know if that's just me or if you guys feel that too with Substance Painter. After texturing was done, the lighting is done, animation is done, so all of that was finished. We moved on to rendering, we rendered out all the scenes, and finally, once I edited it in After Effects, the animation looked like this. And that was the piece, and it's actually one of my favorite works to date at the moment. It's just, in terms of the storytelling, the animation, the colors, my goodness, the textures I love as well. So I hope it gives you guys a better idea of what I usually do when I'm creating an animation, especially for brands and collaborating with brands. Thank you so much, Gucci, for this opportunity, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you got any more questions in the comments below. Let's keep in touch via Twitch, Discord, and Patreon, and I will see you guys in the next video. So you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I've got a few channels for you guys if you guys want to like stay in touch, know the latest updates. We've got Discord, check it out. I have my own personal one, and I've got a 3D education one as well. I also do live streams on Twitch, so if you guys want to see the process live, then make sure to come every Thursday to my live streams. And I also have a Patreon. Yes, if you guys want to get more advice or tips on the digital fashion industry, or if you guys want to get technical tips on actually how to make digital fashion, then my Patreon is the place to be at. And these are some videos that YouTube thinks you might like, so make sure to check them out.